Thanks again for joining us. My name is Karen Corman, and I have the privilege of being the Executive Director of the UIC Alumni Association. Welcome to the UIC Alumni Exchange Series. We have just surpassed our one-year anniversary, and thank you to all of you that continue to join us for our exciting programs. We look forward to continuing to bring you a variety of programs and topics so you can explore, connect, and even escape from the everyday with a community of UIC faculty, staff, and alumni experts. You'll hear me say this a few times today, but I encourage you to visit go.uic.edu/alumni exchange for our latest and greatest programming. Before we begin our program today, we want to share some exciting news with you. We've recently launched UIC Connected, our online networking and mentoring platform. Please enjoy this quick video to hear more about UIC Connected. We hope you are as excited about UIC Connected as we are. You can go to go.uic.edu/connected to join today. And with that, I'm excited to start our program. Before we begin, we have a quick poll for all of you. We'd love it if you could please tell us, where is your stress level? If you could tell us if your stress level, you can see as it's coming up right now. How are you doing? Do you have racing thoughts or feelings about burnout? Have they increased over the last 12 months? Have they remained the same in the last 12 months? Or have they decreased in the last 12 months? If you could go ahead and take the poll and just let us know where you're at. We would love to understand where our audience is today and how you're feeling, if you have increased stress level thoughts or remain the same, or if they have been decreased. I'll give you a few more seconds on that poll and let me go ahead and introduce our speaker, because I'm very excited that we are joined by Carol Peterson today, who is the Director of Health, Education, and Wellness at UIC. Carol will share with us lessons on managing stress and ways to recharge as part of this interactive discussion. Thank you so much, Carol, for being with us today. And let me go ahead and tell you what our results are. Our audience is telling us that 83% of them have increased stress over the last 12 months. About 11% have remained the same, and 6% have decreased over the last 12 months. Thank you to everybody taking our poll, and thank you, Carol, for being here. I'll turn the program over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. And great results, great in the sense that you are in the right place. And for those of you who have had a decrease, congratulations. I'd love to hear some of the things that you may have done to decrease that. So my name is Carol Peterson. I'm the director of the Wellness Center. I've worked at UIC for about 20 years. During that time, I started the UIC Student Pop-Up Pantry. Some of you may have even used the pantry. During the pandemic, we continue to reach out and support students in a variety of ways. So I'm really happy to be here because you are former students and you're part of the UIC family. So we always want to give back to our family. Just to let you guys know, if my audio goes out or my slides freeze, please let me know. We're going to do our questions at the end. You're going to see that there's a lot of information to go through. So we're going to do our questions at the end. And so please throw them out. I love questions, and we're going to be, this will be a great exchange, hopefully. So let's see if we can get everything, all the technology to work correctly. All right, awesome. First hurdle jumped. Okay, so we're understanding stress, and what we're going to be doing is activating solutions. So our agenda basically is, why are we stressed, stress in our health, stress in our brain, and solutions. Okay, so why are we stressed? So we're going to actually look at the movie industry for a little bit to get the answer of this. This is going to be part of our framework. So do you guys remember the movie The Perfect Storm? It starred actually George Clooney. So it was based on a true story that in 1991, that Andrea Gale set sail on Halloween from Massachusetts. Now, once out, this boat was hit by 2 major storms and 1 hurricane. And I feel like that's a really great example of what it is that we're going through right now. And excuse me, I'm gonna turn off my video. Perfect. You don't need to see me flailing my arms around. So I feel like that this is a great example of what we're going through right now. We're being hit on all sides. We're being hit by major storms and hurricanes and a variety of different arenas of our life. So one of the arenas we're being hit in is political and social climate, right? Right now, Americans are angry. We feel unappreciated and hopeless, marginalized, misunderstood, underpaid, forgotten, unloved, powerless, unheard, sleep deprived, helpless, overworked, overlooked, and to some extent scared. So we're angry right now because of all the things that are happening. Part of a major thing that's happening, obviously, is the coronavirus that started in 2019. A major worldwide pandemic. All of us are trying to figure out, how do we live life and are we going to survive? So that's another major stressor, a part of that perfect storm that we're trying to live through and manage. So because this has been going on for a little bit over a year, and even prior to that, in 2019, we saw it happening in other countries as a tidal wave coming towards us and hitting us in 2020. So it's been more than a year, over a year, that we've been dealing with this, living with this, managing this. And at this point, we are tired. But despite all of that, despite being in the middle of this perfect storm, being hit on all fronts, we still have responsibilities. We still have to work. We still have to manage home, medical, friends, and family. We still have to manage our life. So despite all that's going on, we don't have the luxury to go sit in a corner and have a really good cry. We have to stand up and keep things moving forward. A part of that too, and let's not forget, is the isolation that we've been put into. So at a time where we need to reach out most to friends and family, to get a hug, to sit close to someone shoulder to shoulder, to feel their warmth and to calm us down, we're being told to isolate. We're being told to stand 6 feet away from folks. And for those of us who are huggers and need that sort of social physical contact, this is difficult. So during isolation, we're feeling trapped, lonely in the presence of others because they might not be the right other for you, right? Missing the full experience of life, and we're experiencing just an onslaught of emotions. So here is what was happening. We're going through the COVID blues, a very long list of symptoms: lonely, sad, worried, frustrated, depressed, and the list goes on. I won't go through all of them. But the point is we're all feeling something. We're all going through something. So what is happening to us with all of this going on? Two things are happening to us. We're experiencing burnout, right? Because we've been dealing with this for a year and a half. On the other side of that burnout, we're also experiencing something called secondary trauma. Secondary trauma is essentially when you are in a situation where you are giving comfort, support, help to others, for those who have lost family members, for those who are ill themselves, for those who have been unemployed. We're in positions where we're comforting and we're comforting and we're comforting and we're saying, I'm so sorry this is happening to you, when we're doing it again and again and again. Eventually what this leads to is something called compassion fatigue. Normally, when we talk about the compassion fatigue, it's normally looking at industries like healthcare or therapists, social workers, in industries such as that. But now let's start using compassion fatigue to even look at civilians, to look at ourselves. Because if you find yourself in a position where you're saying, I'm sorry a lot, I'm sorry that happened to you, let me help you, and you're feeling tired, you're one of those healthcare folks and you're experiencing compassion fatigue. So we need to realize that that's a real thing and you might be feeling it. Let's also look at burnout. So right now, let's talk about work burnout. So 76% of US employees are currently experiencing worker burnout. So if you're feeling burned out, you are not alone. 57% say worries about COVID-19 have been a contributing factor to them feeling burned out. And let's look at the last statistic. 33% say worries about political issues have contributed to their burnout. Because again, especially the last one, between the pandemic and political issues, these are things that are out of our control to some extent, but out of our control. So we're feeling helpless. This picture is just a great image of what burnout sort of looks like. So looking at that first match, it's bright, it still has most of the wood. So as human beings, when we encounter stress, when we encounter life difficulties, life challenges, for the most part, we meet the challenge, we rise to the occasion, we do what needs to be done, we climb that mountain, right? But if that stressor continues over days, over weeks, over months, over years, that's when we get burned out, because we literally burn through our reserve and we cannibalize our body, our systems, our emotions, because we're stuck in this mode of giving and giving and giving, and we never get a chance to recharge. So we just want it all to stop, right? We just all wanted to stop. We just wanted to go back to normal. We just want to go out to the bar, go out to the restaurant, go to a friend's house, hug somebody, sit close to somebody, not be afraid of people. We just want it all to stop and go back to the way it was. So if you're experiencing any or all of these feelings, good, and I mean that, good, it just means you're normal. So if you're feeling mad or sad, or if you're feeling depressed, frustrated, irritated, angry, all of that is normal, and I'm glad that you're feeling it. It also means you're alive. So look at it from that perspective. If you're feeling something, it means you're alive. But it also means you're stressed. So because I've just hit you with an onslaught of stressors, I want you to just for a moment, take a deep breath. Just breathe in and out. Just breathe in and out. Just one more time. Breathe in and breathe out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at stress and our health. And I am the firm believer that in order to make changes in your life, you have to really understand what's happening, why it's happening, and what that connection is. So the next few slides are going to talk about why you're feeling what you're feeling, why are you doing what you're doing, why are these things happening? And once you understand why, it motivates you because you become an informed consumer. So first, what does stress do to your health? As you know, whenever you go to the doctor or you're seeing on the news, there's always that statement of manage your stress to manage your health. But what happens is you're told to do that, but you're not told why to do that. You're not told what is that connection. So this is going to show you what that connection is. So we're looking at our first box on the right, life, school, work. All of those things cause stress. When we're stressed out, you have that fight or flight or freeze reaction where your body thinks your life is in danger. So it releases cortisol, this energy burst to get you through the moment. Normally, the thing that is frustrating us is something that's an email or road rage, or somebody has said something to us or done something to us. And when we get stressed out, it releases fat, and it releases amino acids, it releases sugars, because literally the cortisol is an energy injection to get you to run, to fight, to do whatever you need to do to survive. Normally, we're in situations where we're sedentary. We're not running, we're not moving, we're not fighting, we're sedentary. So all of that extra sugar, fat, and amino acids, our body stores it. Once it's released, it's stored back into our heart, our hips, our brain. So we have a lot of different medical issues that come up from this, which is high blood pressure, stroke, and heart attack. So here is that medical connection between managing your stress and high blood pressure, managing your stress and stroke and heart attack. Now the solution, I'm going to say, is easy, but no solution is ever easy. Sleep helps you manage your stress. It literally lowers cortisol. So if you can get to sleep, if you can exercise, that lowers cortisol. If you can take B vitamins, specifically B complex 100, which is all of the 8 B vitamins, that helps to lower your cortisol. And of course, the last but most important, managing your health. So let's look at stress in our brain. I feel like I love the brain. I love talking about the brain. I feel like we don't talk enough about the brain. It guides us, it leads us. So we need to understand how it affects our lives. So point one, your brain is a random thought generator. So in 2005, the National Science Foundation published an article regarding research about human thoughts per day. So the average person has about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day, and about 80% of those thoughts are negative. Of those 80%, 95% are exactly the same repetitive thought as the day before. So if you find yourself asking yourself the same question every day and you're thinking the same negative thoughts every day, I want you to realize that you're not crazy. You're normal. This is just how your brain is working. But the point is that we're going to soon talk about is how do you manage that? How do you control that? So let's learn more about our brains, the negative thought generator that it is. So when a problem occurs, your brain goes into problem solving mode, which is awesome, right? You have your simple problems, A to B, boom, boom, problem. Your brain steps in, it's solved, it's done. We have complicated problems, right? You've got this, you've got to get A through Z, and there's all these different things you've got to do. It's complicated, but it's manageable. Boom, you do it. It took time, but you did it. But you also have the unfathomable problem, right? Which is incapable of being fully explored or fully understood. So those are problems that could be political, they could be personal, they could be professional. There's those problems that you're thinking to yourself, why did she do that? Why is he doing that? Why is the world doing this? Why aren't people talking about this? Why aren't these solutions being used? They're unfathomable in that they can't be fully explored or understood and solved. So you're asking the where, the who, the what, the why, the when, but it's just going in circles. So when your brain is dealing with an unfathomable problem, it tends to think about the problem over and over and over again. And this is called racing thoughts, all of which you guys have heard. So if you're having racing thoughts, it is normal, especially if you're dealing with an unfathomable problem. And we, as a nation and a world, are dealing with multiple unfathomable problems right now, which is why I'm calling the situation that we're in the perfect storm. So racing thoughts are consistent, they're persistent, they're often intrusive thoughts, they come in rapid succession. These thoughts are difficult to shut down. They can impede focus and concentration, prevent sleep, and impact your daily course of life. And in terms of preventing sleep, many of us have experienced that, where you wake up at midnight or 2 a.m. with that problem, that same problem that you thought about 10 days ago and you're still thinking about it. So chronic worrying can negatively affect your mood, your health, and your stress level. And I'm going to make a connection for you. So this, you've seen this, right? You've seen the cortisol. We just went through this. So why am I bringing this slide back? Because I want you to know that when you are worrying about a problem and it's midnight or it's 2 a.m. and you're thinking about that conversation or that situation, your brain thinks you're going through it again. It thinks it's happening in real time. And because it thinks that what you're thinking about is real time, it releases cortisol into that system, into your system, so that you can have the sugar, the fat, amino acids that you need to fight and survive it. But we're not moving, we're in bed. So you get this injection of energy, this injection of cortisol, and you wake up. You wake up, right? All of a sudden, you're sort of sleepy, you're thinking about a problem, you start really focusing on it, and now all of a sudden, you're wide awake. This is why. So be conscious of worrying about problems, because when you do that, your body thinks you're going through it again, and it releases the cortisol, which can lead to medical conditions. Okay, so now we're going to talk about solutions. So I want to make sure that we focus on these 2 points: no guilt and making you informed consumer. So sometimes when people present us with solutions, there's these feelings of guilt. Oh, I'm not doing that. I should be doing that. I used to do that. And if it hurts, right? It feels like these little micro hits. That's not the point of this. The point of this is to raise your awareness, to remind you of things you may already know, and to make you an informed consumer for some things you may not know. So we're moving forward, no guilt. So our very first lesson, we're going to go to the moon, right? I'm starting at the moon for my solutions, right? So the moon is 238,900 miles from Earth. So we're looking at the moon because one of the first things we're going to talk about is isolation. And the folks who are standing on the moon, that individual is 238,000 miles from Earth. So that individual that we're looking at knows what it feels like to be isolated, right? So what does that mean? It means that NASA has been studying people in isolated and confined environments for years and has developed methods and technologies to counteract possible problems. So isolation, what can we learn from NASA? So isolation takes a toll on our health, and NASA uses 7 key points to help astronauts and help us learn ways to solve problems, whether in space or at our kitchen table. And I'm going to invite Karen in to read through the acronym of CONNECT for us. So Karen, you're on.
Great. Thank you so much, Carol. So connect. C, community. Seek ways to support society and contribute to the greater good. O, openness. Be open-minded. Look for ways to adapt to life's challenges. N, networking. Make contacts. Interact with others to create new activities and share information. N, needs. Keep a routine. Eat and sleep well. Maintain physical and emotional health and exercise. E, expeditionary mindset. Confront challenges head on. Seek support from and provide support to others. C, countermeasures. Reduce stress. Be mindful of your strengths. Try journaling and share your concerns. And T, training. Build on what you've learned in life. Enhance skills and then learn new ones.
Thank you so much, Karen. And so what we're doing is, what I've done is I have a network. I'm using NASA as the framework for some of the things that I'm presenting to you. I already created this workshop with these solutions already in it, but I think it helps to solidify a solution when you can connect it to something, when you can hang it on a framework, because then you can think to yourself, okay, I'm not just, exercising, because I have to, I should, but you can think to yourself, okay, NASA says for astronauts to exercise as ways to manage their self-care. So this is our framework as we move forward. And I put the NASA symbol on the corner of those solutions that connect to their acronym CONNECT. Okay, so first, no, NASA did not talk about Zoom fatigue. This is all me. I wanted to share with Zoom fatigue with you some slides because we went from being in person to Zooming at a heartbeat. So we need to recognize there's been a lot of fatigue and just wearing down and grinding down from looking at Zoom. So for those of you who are here, thank you so much for being here. If you want to turn off your camera, I'm okay with it, no guilt. But as you move through the days to come, because we're going to still be Zooming for months to come, let folks know I'm here, but I'm turning off my camera because, to be honest, it makes us feel more comfortable. And if we have to do this, let's be comfortable. I want to encourage you to doodle or draw circles or lines or scribble while you're Zooming. Not that you're going to be ignoring what's being said, but research shows by doodling, it helps you to focus more and better on content. More so, doodlers do better at content retention than non-doodlers. So move forward with that. Movement, okay, we're sitting in our chairs for 8 hours now. We're not commuting, we're sitting in their chairs for 8 hours. So let's do some chair exercises. Let's do some chair stretching. Let's lift some light weights. When I say light, I mean half a pound, couple of pounds, 5 pounds. No, not too much. We're not there to exercise, but we can use that time to do some lightweight lifting. Also, here's another thing. Why are we sitting? We don't have to sit. There's no reason why you can't stand, lean on your chair, and listen in on a meeting or to a training. So let's stay cognitively engaged. Taking notes helps you stay engaged. Also, engagement. One of the things when you're going through a lot of information like this today, for example, identify 2 or more critical points per slide. Play a little game with yourself, jot it down. Okay, so we are in this storm and lots coming out of us. And so we've learned that our brain is a random thought generator. We've learned that 80% of the things that we think about every day are negative thoughts. So let's rewrite the negative thoughts. Doing this helps your mental health significantly. So let's look at what I'm talking about. So on our left side is negative thoughts, on our right side are positive thoughts. So negative thoughts. I've never done it before. I don't know how to do it. So let's rewrite this. It's a chance to learn something new. I can learn. Negative thought. It's too complicated, hard. I'll mess it up. Rewrite it. I can figure this out. I've overcome tougher challenges. And this is my last one I'm going to read. Other people can do it better. Someone else should do it. Or let's rewrite it. I look for the bright side of things. I deserve to win. I'm always improving. The point of this was we do get inundated with our own negative thoughts. They're defeatist thoughts, and they can drain your energy and your drive and your motivation. And they're so subtle, you don't even realize it. So once you see yourself doing the negative thinking, reverse it, rewrite it. You are in control. Don't let your brain control you. You control your brain. So speaking of you controlling your brain, let's look at Harvard. So the Harvard Gazette had done a little bit of research in their health and medicine section. It was called 8 Weeks to a Better Brain. Basically what it was done was they looked at, they took a group of subjects. It was a small group of subjects, and they had them do yoga for 8 weeks. So that's why it's titled 8 Weeks to a Better Brain. They did yoga for 8 weeks. What they found was increased gray matter density in the hippocampus, known to be important for learning and memory, and in structures associated with self-awareness, compassion, and introspection. So participants reported reductions in stress, as well as correlated with a decreased gray matter. And that decrease occurred in the amygdala, which is often known for where we're holding our stress and our tension, which is known to play an important role in anxiety and stress. So they increased gray matter in the hippocampus, thus increasing self-awareness, compassion, introspection, decreased gray matter in the area that holds and manages anxiety and stress. So structural changes to them doing yoga, which is significant. And I put 27 minutes up because they did it for 27 minutes a day, every day. So just sit on a mat, look at a YouTube video, do some deep breathing. It's really easy. So meditation helps us to manage stress by managing brain waves. So if you're looking on the right, you see gamma, beta, alpha, theta, and delta. I'm only going to look at beta and alpha for right now. So beta is where you're at right now. Your eyes are open and engaged, but which is normal. So beta is normal, but sometimes when we're really stressed out, our beta waves get really fast. That's when we get our racing thoughts and our anxiety. Meditation is going to help your alpha calm down. It's going to help your brain waves calm down to the point to where you're relaxed and you're feeling a little bit more balanced. So we have an alpha wave when we pray and when we meditate. So meditation helps us slow down and calm down brain waves. Meditation helps you manage daily stressors, because when things are hitting you, your brain starts to learn how to not have a stress reaction, but to have a calm reaction. And I think sometimes when we're growing up, we learn how to have a stress reaction to everything. Missing a train, whether it's a minor to major incident, we have a stress reaction. So let's try to figure out how to have a calmer reaction to when things go wrong. Meditation helps to reduce negative emotion. It helps to increase patience. So we're talking about alpha waves and producing more alpha waves and reducing beta waves, or essentially when those beta waves create anxiety. So you can calm stress with a cup of tea, specifically green tea. All right, so green tea contains a phytochemical, which is called L-theanine, which literally creates calmer brain waves. The calmer brain wave it creates is the alpha wave. It promotes that. So it may not, depending on how stressed you are, it may not necessarily take you from a beta to an alpha wave, but it'll certainly calm you down. So green tea works on alpha waves. Sage tea, matcha tea. Matcha tea is a version of green tea that is much stronger, much more potent, like percentages more potent than green tea. So if you're really stressed, grab for the green powdered green tea. Chamomile tea, all of you guys are familiar with chamomile tea. So normally we're drinking that if we want to try to go to sleep, but chamomile tea is also great if you're stressed out. And if you are stressed out and you drink chamomile tea, you're not going to become sleepy because you're going to have that much adrenaline in you. You won't become sleepy, but it will help to calm you down. And you can drink it safely all day, every day. So let's look at food. And again, let's remember, no guilt here. My goal is to inform you as a consumer. So, and in fact, I think after we come through this, you're going to feel very empowered and you're going to think to yourself, man, that makes so much sense to me now. Okay, so Michael Moss in 2014 wrote Salt, Sugar, and Fat. And this was a great book. Basically, in this book, he really took a lot of processed foods and manufacturers to task. And what he did, and look at that little yellow sticker on the book, what he showed us is how the food giants hooked us. He shows us how they hired food scientists and asked the food scientists to tweak the foods to where the foods had the most impact on our tongue and thus on our brain, so that when you ate something, that particular potato chip or that particular, sweet drink or whatever, so when you ate it or drank it, your brain would go, wow. So they had them design foods to make us go, wow. And then thus, consequently, making us addicted to these foods. So one of the major things that they use in foods is sugar. So sugar makes us happy. Sugar is like a drug. Sugar sugar in some ways is actually equated to cocaine, in the sense that cocaine and sugar go to the same brain, happy centers in the brain. So sugar makes us happy. But on the other side that the manufacturers don't talk about is that sugar makes us sad, and sugar, eating a lot of sugar comes with it a whole host of negative conditions, and not only just conditions, but just function. For instance, eating sugar lowers your immune system. Every time you eat sugar, your immune system is lowered by percentages for an X amount of time. So it makes us happy in the moment, but it makes us sad in the long run. So let's look a little bit deeper about the sugar addiction, okay? So let's look at the number one circle. So number one, you eat sugar, you like it, you crave it, it has addictive properties. We're all familiar with that. Number two, blood sugar levels spike. Dopamine released in the brain equals addiction. A mass insulin is secreted, and you have a drop in blood sugar levels. Number three, blood sugar levels fall rapidly. We are all familiar with this. High insulin levels causes immediate fat storage. Body craves the loss of the high sugar high. So number four, our last part. So we have hunger and cravings. So low blood sugar levels cause an increased appetite and cravings, and thus the cycle is repeated. So we eat sugar, our dopamine levels increase, dopamine makes us happy, our dopamine goes up, we're happy, then those sugar levels drop, we're sad, we become sluggish, we lose energy, and then we crave it all over again. We go into this perpetual cycle. So what's important to know is that we're hooked on sugar, all of us, and sugar is in everything, ketchup, everything. And we just need to understand how to use it appropriately, when to use it, and then it's okay to use it, but be looking at it as if it were a drug, to be conscious of that and not overuse it. So how do we have fewer sugar cravings? And let me go back to the point of, we're in a major storm. There's a lot going on in the world. We need comfort, right? We can't run into the arms of the person that we might have, or we're not, because they make us sick now, even though we're evolving out of that. But the point is, we're reaching for sugar a lot. We're reaching for fat a lot because sugar makes you happy. So we're going to look at how to lower those cravings. So let's look at the first image on the left. So eating a balanced meal, a food that you really, really enjoy, is going to help lower the sugar cravings. Number two, making sure that you're eating, that you're not nutrient deficient, that you're taking a multivitamin, that you're taking multiple vitamins. Nutrient deficiency can also make us crave sugar. Are you sleeping right? Are you getting enough sleep? Not getting enough sleep, when you wake up in the morning, you need an energy burst. So reaching for sugar is so easy, and it's something that comforts us. The next one, pampering yourself. Are you not pampering yourself enough? Maybe finding ways to pamper yourself that replaces the sugar. The next one, looking at the big donut. I love the big donut. I want to encourage you, if you need to eat a donut, eat a donut, okay? If you need to do that, do that. But be aware that you're going to feel tired, you're going to feel sluggish, and your mood's going to drop. So when that happens, don't reach for another donut, reach for something else. And so like on this, it suggests reaching for maybe a cup of hot cocoa, reaching for green tea, exercising, but recognizing that if you need a donut, eat it, but stop at that donut, and then reach for something else when that craving comes around again. So here's another thing I'm just sharing with you. So thinking about the brain. So the sugar increases dopamine, but we also, when we're feeling sad, what we also need to increase is serotonin. For people who are depressed, research shows they have lower serotonin levels. This is also a sign of sometimes when you have like winter depression or you have seasonal affective disorder, it's because you have low serotonin. All the foods and actions on this slide that you see help increase your serotonin. So walking, exercising, a banana, eating broccoli, drinking water, drinking green smoothies, taking a warm bath filled with magnesium, which is Epsom salts, grabbing and when I say that, just buy a bag of Epsom salts, pure Epsom salts, no fragrances, get in the tub. Your body literally absorbs the magnesium, and you're not relaxed, not necessarily just because of the warm tub, but because of the magnesium you've absorbed. You can also take magnesium as a pill if you need to help you relax. It also, magnesium as a pill in pill form will help you fall asleep. So we're increasing your dopamine to make you feel better. We're increasing your serotonin to make you feel better. So snacking, again, the point is we need something. We need to make our mouths happy because it makes us happy. So let's do this right. Let's be an informed consumer. Sugar substitute, stevia. Stevia is one of the few sugar substitutes that are not connected to a lot of negative press. And I've done some research, so somebody out there may have found something different. And if you did, let us know. But for right now, I'm suggesting stevia. If you normally put sugar into something, use stevia or use honey. Grabbing fresh fruit, you're still getting sugar. And let me tell you, the glucose in fruit, fresh fruit, makes your brain happy. Dark chocolate is a go-to, definitely a go-to. It's an antioxidant and it's low on sugar, but it gives your brain that little happy place it needs. So summer's coming up. So instead of reaching for ice cream, reach for yogurt, but check the label because some yogurts have as much sugar and fat as ice cream. So be really cognizant of that. If you love pop, and I know sometimes water can be a little bland and not so sexy, consider substituting it with fizzy water or kombucha. And if you feel the need, add stevia to your fizzy water. So making sure that if you buy fizzy water, that it is just carbonated water and nothing else. Add your stevia. What are you saving yourself? Each can of pop is about 130, 140 calories per can. If you eliminate the 3, 2, 5, how many ever you're drinking, and you replace it with fizzy water and stevia, your brain will be happy, your mouth will be happy, and you've already eliminated 500 to 600 calories from your diet. Last one, if you feel that need to keep your mouth moving, chewing gum, especially if you're studying or if you're working on something, go back to chewing gum. Awesome, just make sure it's sugar-free. So again, this is all about raising your awareness, right? There's no guilt here. So reading nutritional labels, what I want you to do is number one, I want you to read nutritional labels, and I want you to think about like what is this, and do I want it in my body? So I'm gonna equate nutritional labels and reading them to sex. Yes, I mentioned the S word, sex. I want you to think about reading nutritional labels in terms of sex, in the sense that if you're going to have sex with somebody, you're thinking, who is this? Where have you been? And what have you done? And who have you touched? I want you to do that for food because it's been processed, right? So read the label. What's in this? I can't read that word. What is that word? And what is this word going to do to my body? Because right now manufacturers are not protecting us. So we need to read the labels in order to protect ourselves. So be aware of how much sugar, fat, and salt is in the label, especially added salt and added sugar. And then ask yourself, am I okay with this much fat or this much salt or sugar? Recognize some of the tricks that they play. So sometimes when you see a product that says low fat, sometimes it's supplemented by increasing the sugar because the manufacturers still want you to have that wow effect. So low fat, but maybe high sugar. Also be aware that sometimes low calorie products can lead to overeating. So when they show those bags that are just a few calories, it actually means you're going to eat more. And portable food, not your friend. So try to make sure that when you're eating, you're at a table, you're focused on your food, you're enjoying it. Eating while you're in your car and you're moving through the world can lead to eating without being aware of it, without being cognizant of it, which means you eat more and you get less satisfaction. So making small changes. So on the left, what you see is that 136 grams of saturated fat is found in 1 pound of ground beef. But that same pound, if you use a pound of turkey, 1 pound of ground turkey in terms of saturated fat is only 50 grams. So you can make changes and just small changes. So when you want tacos, maybe reach for turkey. So you have turkey tacos instead of beef tacos. Looking at how many grams, you're going from 136 grams of saturated fat to only 50. That's an awesome thing to do for your heart. So NASA is saying, and we're suggesting too, that you move more. So it increases serotonin, it lowers depression, increases endorphins, it promotes better sleep, increases energy and oxygen, lowers stress, all those wonderful things. And especially increasing serotonin and endorphin. Those are brain hormones and neurotransmitters that make you feel better. So exercising makes you feel better. No guilt about not doing it, but what you can do is exercise in any form or fashion, which is why I show this to you. So you can exercise using a sit and fit kind of concept, especially if you're sitting and Zooming for a long period of time. So it's awesome, right? You're sitting, you're Zooming, you're in that 2-hour meeting every day. Why don't you do some sit and fit exercises with your camera off, right? You're gonna walk away from COVID looking great. Also, when you're exercising, if you're sitting in a chair, or if you're at home and you can't get to the gym, using your own body weight to exercising, using resistant bands, using light weights, using squeeze balls, all of these things help us to get in shape and release endorphins and increase our serotonin and ultimately make us feel better. So next, NASA wants us to stay busy in order to stay happy. So already we're all super busy, right? So unquestionably, we're all super busy. But a part of that is that we're really busy doing other things for other people. So when was the last time you did something for you, right? That made you happy? So I want to encourage you to reach back out to your creative spirit, something that you did in high school, something that you did in college, something that made you happy, something that was creative. Because if you can recreate that creative action activities, again, we're making our brain happy, releasing dopamine, reducing stress, anxiety, all of these things. So be creative, bring that back into your life. So NASA talks about that we need to talk to somebody. We are doing that. I believe we're doing that. If we're not doing that, I want you to reach out and do that. I mean, so it's as simple as something as their characters are saying, a pandemic, can you believe it? No, I can't. I keep waiting for this crazy ride to happen. If you have to say that 10 times a day to 10 different people to make yourself feel better, then do it. What's next is I want you to check in with yourself, right? Like, what's your mood? Ask yourself, literally, how am I feeling? Am I tired? Am I hungry? Do I have to take a nap? Do I need to eat something? Do I need to walk? Do I need to buy myself something special? What are you feeling? So check in with yourself. And the most important thing is, once you check in with yourself, give yourself the thing that you need, as long as it's within reason and safe. Give yourself the thing that you need, because you need to take care of you. Especially now, especially with all that you have to do, especially for all the things that you do for work and for other folks. Most importantly, and this is the thing that we're not doing, we're not getting sleep. We need to get some sleep. We need to lower our cortisol, because remember, cortisol is that thing that shoots into our body when we're stressed out. We need to lower it. So we need to improve our health by lowering it. Getting some sleep lowers cortisol. It releases leptin, which is this great hormone which helps to control your eating. So here's an interesting point. When you don't sleep well at night, this hormone leptin is not released, which means that the very next day you have out of control eating. So get some sleep. And when I say sleep, I mean 7 hours or more sleep a night. And it's going to improve your mood, your focus. It's going to make you less irritable. It's going to increase your patience and reduce crankiness. And I think that's critical. So having that bedtime ritual, so you can increase your melatonin by shutting down your electronics before you go to bed, journaling, creating a chill mood, drinking your chamomile tea, taking a magnesium pill, stretching muscles, and making sure that your room is cool and dark, and then sprinkling lavender on your pillows. And I want to go back to our second point, which is journaling. If you're going to journal, which I think is an awesome thing to do, and NASA suggests it, this is how I would do it. First, write your angry thoughts. This day sucked, and here's the 10 reasons why. Then I want you to write your to-do list, because if you don't write it down now, you're going to think about it when you're trying to fall asleep, right? So write it down. I need to send this email. I need to reply to this. I need to do this. The last thing in your journal, I want you to write down your blessings. What made you happy? What good thing happened? What thing did you see that made you happy? Whatever happened that was a good thing, write it down. So ending that note on a happy thought, so that when you go to bed, you've used this journal as sort of your dumping grounds for all those negative thoughts, and you're leaving with happy thoughts. So this is my last slide, and I just want to encourage you to consider creating a self-care plan. And this is my self-care plan. And do I follow it, religiously every day? No, I don't. But I use this because it reminds me of what my goals are. So you can see on here that my goals are to walk and to eat yogurt and to drink water, to bring flowers into my house, to get a massage. Of course, I have not done that, right? Who has? So it reminds me that I should dance, and that the last part is to do good work. So my self-care plan reminds me of this. And you can create an image and you can leave it on your computer, or you can hang it up on your wall. But most importantly, it reminds you to take care of you in small ways. No major changes, just small ways. And I want you to remember that you are powerful, you are beautiful, you are brilliant, and you are brave. And at this point, I conclude my my presentation, and I'm opening it up for any questions that you may have.
Oh, Carol, thank you so much. And I wanted to say right back to you, exactly what you just said, that you're smart, beautiful, brave, and thank you for sharing this with us. That was so much incredible information, and I feel guilty for not standing up right now, but I will after this. Just so many helpful tips. We have a couple of questions that have come in, and let me start with what I think is a sort of a good segue from your last couple of points, which is, as you're talking about the recommendations, they add a lot of things on the to-do list. So exercise, meditation, eating right, going to bed on time. If somebody could only pick one of those, and maybe we'll say if we had to prioritize and pick one to start with, which one would you recommend that they start with?
Oh my God, that's a great question. That is a great question. You know what I would say? I would say exercising. If you can only do one thing, I would say exercise. And this is why. This is my sneaky reason why. Because when you exercise, you're going to have a great sleep naturally. It's just naturally going to happen. You're going to start sleeping well. And when you exercise, you're going to oxygenate your brain and your muscles. You're going to calm your stress down. You're going to make yourself feel better in a variety of different ways, even if it's a half a mile, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, you're going to feel better. And eventually, I think when people start to exercise, sometimes a natural outcome of exercising is you want to eat right. You want to do a little bit better for your body in some different ways. So I would say if you can only do one of the three, start with exercising, and everything else is going to fall in line. Thank you for that question. It was a great question.
No, thank you. And I like how you said it was a sneaky answer. Carol, if you're comfortable, do you mind turning your camera back on so I can see you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
So,
no,
hold on.
Easier for me to have the personal connection as much as we can. Okay.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, Karen, is it okay if I turn off the slide?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. All right, perfect.
People too, wonderful. Oh, I see a couple of alumni friends that are wonderful. Thank you for being here. Okay, so let me ask another question that came in. Do you have any specific recommendations for pediatric or teen populations and their parents for self-care?
What I would say, oh my God, it's a great question. So here's the thing about teens and parents and children and parents. And remember I talked about earlier about the fact that we learn to have a stress reaction versus a calm reaction to everything. And the reason that we as human beings have that stress reaction is because we looked at our parents, right? We looked at our parents when something bad happened. If our parents blew up, then we thought, well, when something goes wrong, we blow up. So I would say use this pandemic as an opportunity. Look at it as an opportunity to teach your children how to have calm reactions when the world is blowing up. And so investigate and discover things with them. So we talked about yoga. So, like bring up a YouTube video or have your kids find a YouTube video that they like on yoga or something and like fumble through it with them, learn it with them. And then what happens is you're teaching them how to do self-care. You're doing it with them. They're doing it with them. You're creating community, and solidarity within your family. And you're also giving them this wonderful tool that as they move forward through life and get into college, hopefully UIC, and stress occurs, they've now learned through you how to do something. So I would say for self-care and parents, find that unity, find that one thing that you all love and learn it together. And fumbling through it is going to make it even more fun.
Thank you. And I think that's it's a really good lesson out of the pandemic of doing things together as a family. It's different and setting up habits for lifetime, and how we look at approaching things. There was a question about drinking green tea and if you should drink it later in the day because it has caffeine. And I know there's decaffeinated green tea options that are available, but would you still recommend drinking green tea later in the day as an option to reduce stress?
That's a great question. So yes, it does reduce stress, and yes, it does have some amount of caffeine in it. It's not a lot of caffeine in it. If you're caffeine sensitive, then I would say don't drink it after 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock if you're going to be going to bed at around 10 o'clock. Under those conditions, if you want to drink green tea but decaffeinated, make sure you purchase a green tea that has been decaffeinated using a water process. So like for coffee, when they decaffeinate coffee, they can use either a water process or an oil process. You don't want the oil process. You'd want a water process. Or go for something that is calming, but just naturally decaffeinated. And again, I'm not sure the caffeine levels of sage or chamomile, but investigate those. There's also green tea in a pill. So you could go to Whole Foods and buy green tea as a pill. Is there caffeine in it? I don't know, but that's just an option for you to think about and explore.
It's great options. It's great going back to your earlier point of reading labels, and so you fully understand. And if you don't like the taste of green tea because it could be a little bitter, that's a great alternative.
It's an alternative. You can get it in a pill.
It is amazing the things that are available once you start looking. Thank you for that. Another question came in. What should the approach be when someone cannot practice a certain activity to decrease stress, specifically due to physical injuries when the person can't exercise anymore?
So what should the approach be to physical? So if you can't exercise, so number one, again, because I don't know what the parameters are, what I would say is to investigate finding things that you can do. So we talked about the sit and the fit. Again, without me knowing what the parameters are, if you normally sit and fit is for individuals who are at a risk for falling, individuals who have a certain level of frailty, and not that saying that you're frail, but the point is if there are some physical things that you need to manage and monitor and protect, consider looking at the sit and fit video. Then what I would do is find that array of things that you think that you can do, and then share them with your doctor. Say, here's what I found. What do you think? And I say it that way because sometimes doctors, if you ask them, what should I do? You know, their world of exercise is not necessarily the largest. So see if you can, share those solutions with them. Once you get the okay on that, then go for it. Absolutely go for it.
Thank you. I think I have time for one more question, and I'm extremely interested in your answer to this question. The question is, how do we make our parents eat right as they are used to eating a specific diet for a long time? As the generations change, and how, I grew up eating a lot of white bread and canned vegetables and things that was just popular, I suppose, at the time. How can you work with parents to help them understand the use of proteins and sugar in their food and drinks and pop, as you mentioned before?
Okay, also a great question. And I'm just going to say, I find myself in the same situation because as children, though we are educated children, right? We are still their children. And though we are grown, they look at us and they still see that little kid, right? When they look at us. And so sometimes when we're telling them information, they might still see that little kid or hear that little kid. So what you have to do sort of is you have to look at your parent and think to yourself, what to this person is their higher power? Who is their authority? Who do they believe in? Is it a doctor that needs to tell them this? Is it their favorite nephew that needs to tell them this? Is it something on YouTube? Like if they look at a film, is it something on YouTube that they're going to relate to? Do I need to give them a book? If they read it in a book, will that be the thing that helps them? You kind of first have to look at who is the authority that they respect and they would listen to, and then share that information with them through that venue. Does that make sense? And then by doing that, you've won half the battle, because if it's a book, if it's an authority figure, if it's a YouTube video, that's going to help them. And especially if you could find a book written by somebody, a figure of authority that they can connect with from when they were younger. And also, I think just using the human point of view of mom, dad, I love you. I want you to live a healthy life for as long as you can. And this is why I want this. And these are how these foods are hurting you. Like showing them science rather than you just saying it, show them the science behind it and really truly showing them the love behind what you're saying. Because as children, we can be frustrated if they're not listening. So show them the love as well, along with that. I hope that helps.
It certainly does. Thank you so much, Carol. Thank you so much for your time today and for sharing all this wonderful information with us. I just want to remind everybody that the slides will be available at our website within approximately 10 business days, as is a copy of this recording, because there was so much great content. We are so proud that you work at UIC and that you run Wellness Center, and that, thank you for everything that you do. And it's just been wonderful to spend time with you today. Just quickly to close us out, please join us for our next Alumni Exchange program on Wednesday, June 9th at noon Central Standard Time, as we will be joined by Associate Professor Stuart Hicks from UIC's College of Architecture, Design, and the Arts. Professor Hicks will talk about his unique approach to investigating architecture in the context of graphic novels, Legos, and yes, George Costanza. So to find out how this program is going to come together, because I think it's going to be quite interesting, I hope that you can join us on Wednesday, June 9th at noon Central Standard Time, as Professor Hicks presents Chicago Architecture and Pop Culture. Again, to find a copy of this recording, please go to go.uic.edu/alumni exchange. And of course, be on the lookout for that quick survey that I mentioned. Thank you again, Carol, for everything today. We're so grateful. Thank you to all of you for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you in a future Alumni Exchange program. Thanks again. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.